All right. Thank you, Dr. Nazry. Yeah, this blessed morning, in fact. Yeah, we are in that short lecture by you. Yeah, but very comprehensive one about and inspiring us to actually later on, yeah, maybe after Buka, to rush and check, yeah, some of the materials that Dr. Nazry have mentioned. So
there's a lot.
yeah. So I think you have shared with us many interesting points here, and of course I really welcome your future research. Yeah, in this matter, you are right to say that there is under research in this material. Yeah. As you may know that the animal fables can be roughly classified into coming from the oral tradition from within Nusantara and the written tradition, written text, which of course both have its overlapping. But what is interesting is when coming back to scholarship here, it seems that we tend to repeat what for example R.O. Winstead's Yol Yok Pang's not too bad, R.O. Winstead's schema of how do we look at these animal fables. We are stuck to that, right? Quite formal, and then looking at the kind of Winstead approach is basically the local culture bereft of anything, right? It's all import, right? Your take is different. Your take is, well, there are various layerings of cultural influences, but there's also an adaptation and there is a creative reconstruction.
Correct.
So that is the intercultural part, which is missing in the earlier scholarship. And of course, not appropriating various development, the literary studies, anthropology, and so on. Actually, there are many texts from the region, which we could. You mentioned, you are right, Cikgu Latif Mondo and Lembu, which I think I enjoy your translation, and I use it in my class. That also reminds us of few other Malay works, like Tikus Rahmat, right? I don't know whether Tikus Rahmat has been translated. If not, I think that's your task too, Dr. Nazry. Okay? And let's look at, for instance, also, there are various texts, for example, with bearing the animal character. Hikayat Raja Babi, for instance. Right?
Correct.
It's another important text, 18th century, quite unique, where the main character, Babi, as in, it's a pig, given that prominent character, the protagonist, right? And seeing in a better light as compared to, you always see, Babi always in a negative sense, right? And then, of course, we have Bugis text, and quite interestingly, Professor Matulada from Sulawesi, back in 50s or 60s, he studied the Latawa Bugis. And amongst the Latawa Bugis is actually like the kind of advice of statecraft in the Bugis tradition. And this Latawa Bugis, among others, depicted about the danger of a country that fall the trap of corruption. The Raja tend the garden, but the garden being attacked by two animals. The two animals are mouse, mice, and babi. So, but this is that the danger of a babi can be seen, but the danger of these small little mice or mouse, it is a danger that will destroy from within. So basically about corruption, destruction from within, and this is a danger in any kind of state. Here using animal imageries too. And of course, we know very well that the Sufi work, Hamzah Pansuri, Syair Burung Pingai, Syair Ikan Tongkol, right? All those along the lines of using animal figures. And if I think you might like this, Dr. Nazry, I think you should check. I think you might have read it somewhere. Sultan Badaruddin, Syair Nuri. Syair Nuri of Sultan Badaruddin is after his exile from Palembang. The war broke up between the Dutch and the Palembang forces and Sultanate. And he wrote this in exile, longing for his wife, Syair Nuri. And of course, we have Syair Ikan Terubo and many more, right? Which is, I agree to you, these are abundant of resources, but understudied. Because one, we are still trapped, one with that Orientalist legacy. Two, I think we are not autonomous in ourselves, right? We have a lot of materials, but I don't normally we are waiting for others to start. And then we get excited, then we want to do, right? So I think it is important for us to take note on that. And I think, I hope that in future, you develop this further. And this is a very interesting material. Okay, all right. Do we have a Q&A here? Let's. I know Dr. Nazry, we should not stretch you too much, but I think we can spend about partly about 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes or so about Q&A. Is there any Q&A here? Is there any posting here?
Yeah.
So far?
Yeah, we have 2 questions.
Yes, from Nadia. Yeah. Okay, let me read. Yeah. Nadia, are these changes to the characters in the stories as told in the respective geographies an attempt at local socio-cultural adaptation of these tales? From Nadia Yu. What's your take, Dr. Nazry?
Yeah, thanks, Nadia. I think that's a very important question. And I think my short answer is they are definitely, from my reading is definitely a kind of customization to, because, when you foreignize translation, meaning that you accept text from other places, you definitely have to speak to a different audience than the original text. And for that text to matter, it would mean to speak in the language, right, or the kind of thinking of the new audience, which is the local audience. So certainly, I think they are definitely an attempt at a socio-cultural adaptation of the text. And in fact, not just, I would go as far as to say that they were not just trying to bring an important text from elsewhere here, but use an important text to say something about local conditions. So I think there was some use actually, not just like blindly, okay, go ahead, right?
And that's also, Dr. Nazry, the way we can read how Panca Tanderan, by Munshi Abdullah and Mutu Baripata. I think that it's not just for the sake of translation. It's an agency. There is, and one thing about, for a very practical level, is actually to be used in Malay school. That was what we needed at that time, right? And that Panca Tanderan with this 5 stories in it, right? I think it's a good educative what they call it, materials, and more that school children can relate to the animals' character with the moral didactism.
That's right. Yeah.
Quite interesting. I have so far not come across any study on Munshi's Panca Tanderan. I don't know whether I missed. Have you come across it, Nazry?
Not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And very interested to do something about that. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes. I think you should, Dr. Nazry. Okay.
Yeah.
And we can do also collaborative with some Tamil-speaking scholar. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Maybe one day I'll tell Mr. Arun. Mr. Arun normally is very active in looking around for young researchers. Yeah? All right. Next by Haslina Harun. Okay, I am interested in the sources for the different translation of Kalila and Bimna, which you showed. I am wondering whether the source text is mentioned explicitly in all translations.
Right. Thanks, Haslina. So I cannot give you 100% answer with surety that the texts are mentioned. I'm still actually researching that, and in the text that I mentioned, it is mentioned, like the 2 texts that this is from Ibn al-Mukafa, and definitely they mention in the foreword that this has been circulating in the Arab world. They don't go further than Ibn al-Mukafa. They don't recognize actually that the Ibn al-Mukafa version is a version of something else. So they just go and they want to take it as original. And I think that leads us to maybe asking the question, why stop there, right? What's the agenda there? Why when you stop there? Either they don't know, which I think could be the case, or they or it's an process of Islamization, maybe could be, right, to show that this is a text in the Abbasid Empire. It's a glorious text that actually started from the Muslim world when actually it came from before. Yeah.
So quite interesting, right? To the extent that we often complain that Europe take from the Islamic civilization with the acknowledging, and then sometime along the process in our own history we did that, but then we are silent about its Brahmanical or Indic origin. Right? I mean, that is something, right? I think here, I think the work of scholarship is just not to bring to light, that there are actually diffusion and transmission of civilization, right? All borrowing from each other, developing and transmitting. Quite interestingly, the two versions of Pancatantaran came to the Malay world, as you indicated earlier, from two sources, right? From the Indic Tamil sources, and then from the the Persian Arabic sources.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised one day somebody will translate it from the English sources, right? I mean, so it is something that we should expect, because there are nowadays, their young ones are primarily reading in English, and they know about this English text of similar topic or title, and then you translate it into Malay. So then, Dr. Nazry, you have three trajectories. Right? So I think, your job more interesting because you're not only doing comparative literature, but you're also doing translation here. Right? And then you can see how ordering of works. All right. By anonymous attendee here, I wonder if there's exists a half man, half animal creatures in our tales. Yeah. Like Centaur, Mermaid.
Yeah. So actually, when I went to a conference, and I don't know this, and maybe I've been researching this, trying to research this, but apparently in South Africa, there are tales of the mermaid, and actually those tales can be traced to the Malay world. And I don't know, somebody from a South African researcher was telling me this, but I haven't come across it yet. So I'm not sure if that's true. I just found a text actually, which is a colonial text published in 1832 called The Mermaid and Eastern Tale. And I haven't read it properly yet, but I don't know if Azhar, you know about the Mermaid Tale that relates to.
But maybe the nearest is the Jadi-Jadian.
Jadi-Jadian, yeah. I mean, it's a total transformation. Maybe you could be a total tiger, or you could be half tiger, half man, right? And I think there is another comment about Buaya Putih, right?
Buaya Putih,
which is also an interesting. I don't think that it's a half thing. It's basically a full. You become fully a Buaya Putih, kan?
Yeah.
Correct.
And they are, based on I remember a lecture during Prof. Alatas, via Dr. Shahrudin, about this man who claimed that a Kalang River, that his brother is actually inhabiting in Kalang River, and the brother is the buaya. Right?
Wow.
So that's and Professor Alatas was jotting down and listening to this man, because the student came to see him about telling about relating the story. So that's a part of that belief, and of course, Popalatas developed that that discourse on collective representation, that anthropological studies.
I wanted to add also that I think actually the imagination of Southeast Asia or the Malay world actually in the colonial mindset does lend itself to half animal, half man creatures. And one of the texts that I can think about here is the Island of Dr. Maru. If you see the film adaptation, I think starring Val Kilmer, I remember it a long time ago. Then at the start of the film, they show like a map of where this island is. And it's in the South China Sea. I think it could be an Indonesian island, So yeah.
Yeah, that is also part of the exoticism also, right?
Definitely exoticism, Yeah.
Okay, another question from Haslina. Highly relevant in the context of indirect translation. Okay, no, this is just a comment from her.
Yeah.
Where? Nadia again, is there any historical evidence that there were tigers exist?
Yeah, I can recommend actually two books that actually not by Southeast Asian scholars, but by other scholars that don't show you evidence of were-tigers, but show you very comprehensively all the kinds of were-tiger legends, different types. I mean, I think just now Jamal also talked other examples of other were-beasts in Javanese folktale. Actually, in Java there is the were-tiger is known as Macan Gadungan, which is actually a Javanese version of the were-tiger. Yeah. Which is also interesting, and I got this from the two books. So it's Robert Wessing, and I forgot one more book. But you know, get in touch with me, and I can send you the resources. Yeah,
and it's not uncommon to Dr. Nazry, where this Harimau Jadi-Jadian is also related to saintly figures. So there are walis known to be inhabiting in certain mountains. I know a certain group or a circle, a jemaah that believe that their wali had that can become Harimau Jadi-Jadian in certain time, right? Another one, which is actually nearer to home, is actually at Fort Canning. The story about Fort Canning Kramat, the Kramat Iskandar Shah. Supposedly, the man who take care of the Kramat said that, at certain times, they saw a white tiger appearing in that area, right? Which is actually, the kind of, maybe the guardian spirit of the Kramat. So all these are part and parcel of closely part of the mythology of the people. But animals are not just in that methodological level, right? It is also educative, didactic type for children, young adults, and also the philosophical type, right? Like Hamzah Pansuri, higher Sufism, Tasawwuf, and so on, and also on statecraft. I came across, now I remember, a very misogynistic Malay shair, which depict about the dangerous woman in a particular household, and among others, the depiction of again here monyet, monkeys and babi, pig, depicting on the kind of wife that you should not choose. Because this is a very something that is a very deplorable text. But this is tested in a certain kind of misogynistic thinking that have appeared in society. So someone says here, Dr. Azhar and Dr. Faizal. Oh yeah, we had a fantastic conversation quite some time ago at Malay Heritage Foundation also.
Well, what is the gist of that conversation?
On Hikayat Raja Babi. But yeah, it's about Dr. Faizal. It's another very interesting anecdotes on Raja Tedong, Hikayat Tedong, and so on. Yeah, and he relates that to actually what's happening in Riau. So using animal character, right, to make a political commentary of the day. So that's another areas. Dr. Nazry, you should convene one conference maybe, right? On the animal world of Southeast Asia.
Definitely.
Or the Malay world, or Nusantara, you want to call it. Okay, Dr. Nazry, maybe one last word from you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm just like looking forward to thinking about the animals with everyone else. I mean, of course, when people think about animals today, right, they think about climate change and all that. But my interest in animal fables is more like what it says about society and actually aesthetics, in a way, because I think aesthetics is also kind of understudied. Which is important.
And that reminds us, maybe Dr. Nazry, somebody needs to look at the Malay calendar, right, with animal year. Right? Just like you look at because normally, things animals, they say, oh, no, Malays don't do that because, it's un-Islamic. No, that's not correct, right?
That's right. Yeah.
When we look at old Malay documents as early as the Batu Surat Terengganu, the date system is actually just like, the Chinese system where the year is depicted by the animals. In that Batu Bersurat, the year is depicted as the year of lobster. Right? I can't remember the Malay name for that, but the year of lobster. So we have year of I think year of tiger, year of boat. Yeah. So all those years are given animal character. That's what one time was in Malay calendar. And if you read classical Malay text, we always come upon here which year is that. Even in Islamic, pre-Islamic dating system, tahun gajah, that's
correct.
the year where,
even Islam uses animals.
So the Chinese have elaborate that system. The Cambodians, the Thais had actually the part of the Malay world too. We had that calendar system, which the year depicted with certain animal features, right? And the Chinese have a dragon year. We have Ula. That Ula Sakti something. Ula Saktamuni. Yeah. Okay. On that note, Dr. Nazry, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope you continue your research in this, and I look forward maybe in near future for more of your sharing on this matter. Yeah?
Okay, inshallah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And now I pass back to Fadli. Fadli had to do some feedback from the audience. Yeah. Thank you. Fadli, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Azhar. Okay, let me just quickly. Okay, thank you, Dr. Azhar, and also Dr. Nazry. We have now come to the end of the webinar. We hope you have found the session beneficial and informative. So before we call it a day, I would like to bring your attention to the next WWSWAL webinar, a session on 21st May by Dr. Rosalina Rawi. She will touch on the concept of heroes amongst Malay children in Singapore. So do look out for it. Okay, as you can see, we are gathering the feedback. Yeah, so really appreciate if you can actually submit your feedback as well regarding this webinar. And also, I would like to invite everybody to also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and also on our website. Yeah. Also, if you want to follow any of our latest news on upcoming events, so on and so forth, you may subscribe to our newsletter. Yeah. So I think with that, I'd just like to take this opportunity. Have a pleasant weekend, everyone. Stay safe, and on behalf of Dr. Azhar and Dr. Nazry, signing off. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a great day, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam.